Hey guys, real quick to do a rundown on how these matchups are going to change, because boy are they ever going to change. Uh, we talked in our pre-game Skaven DLC prediction video and our wants and needs video. What they need: cheaper single entities. They're going to get it. Brood Horror is going to be, it's going to have fear, it's going to have terror. It's not going to have all the fancy stuff a Hell Pit has, but it's probably only going to, realistically, it has to be somewhere between 12 and 1500 gold. It's supposedly going to be fast, so fast is a relative term, like we've discussed before, but look for it to be at least 70 speed, if not more, 75. So that's great. That patch as a whole. We also need some sort of cavalry or fast movers. We're getting them. We think they're going to also be poison, so that's great. They're going to be super cheap because they have to be in order to be effective. They have to be fast and they have to be cheap because I got Skaven slaves right here. So you're going to have to give me something at like 300 gold to make it worth my interest. Now they're getting another single entity, which the Mutant Rat Ogre, he's really going to have to shine if he wants to play. If not, he's going to be sitting on the sideline. Nobody's going to use him. We're getting the heroes, thankfully. We're getting a chieftain we know of that's a hero, and we're also getting a Packmaster, Taskmaster, who's going to be a hero. And then we're getting Throt, and I think we're getting a generic version of Throt. So, and we're pretty sure we've seen them all on mounts. So we're hoping that that's the case. So you're going to have a couple heroes with mounts that isn't a bell. So that'll be great. Fear, terror causing hero mounted. Breaking back lines. That'll be amazing. Assassin, he's not going to lose his spot in the sunlight, though. He's still a great hero choice, and he always will be. A lot of these guys, they're still going to be interchangeable. But now you have a lot more melee options. And the Taskmaster, the hero, Packmaster version is supposed to be a lot like the Necrotect. Of course, he's not going to have a chariot. I look for the Brood Horror to probably cost, as a mount, 700-800, if it's going to be in the 12 to 1500 range, as just a standard unit. It might carry more armor. It might not. But this is our best case scenario, that it turns out a lot like the Necrotect. It's specialized, but it's well specialized, and this will make sense. They have an area of effect buff, attack, defense, leadership. It'll be several of them stacked together, and a nice little buff sandwich. It'll probably be fairly cheap like this. This does fairly well, especially if you're in the midst of your units, your animal units. The Taskmaster is going to be able to summon rat packs, which increases your dynamic for being the most toxic summoning race already as it stands to just a whole new level. And there's going to be a lot of tears, and the Skaven only like cheese more than salt, so it's going to be a good day to be a rat boy. This one, you may get something similar, since there's so many squishy Skaven monsters, and it doesn't look like it's really going to change. The two monsters we see in the trailer, they look pretty squishy. They may have a little missile resist. They're not going to have a lot of armor. There's not going to be a lot to them. So something like this would definitely help. It would be great. The healing factor, as much as I'd like to see healing for Skaven, and that's, since they're my main, I'm super biased, but I honestly think that wouldn't be good. I think instead of that, maybe you have, even if it's map wide, it would be less toxic than healing for Skaven. Some sort of maybe leadership boost, or maybe a version of like this, a Fear Musk sort of thing, like an explosion ability, area of effect, maybe something. But honestly, with two abilities, a Taskmaster would be great. And if you had any items at all, it'd be whip items, certain things like that. So maybe an item that reduced, say, your defense or your morale or your armor but in turn increase your attack. Something to that effect, maybe. Maybe an area of effect piece of equipment. But, yeah. So this will be an awesome addition no matter what it winds up, the Necrotech version winds up being. Be a good addition. The Chieftain's coming too. He'll probably be a bastion of leadership. He'll probably have the generic stand your ground type buffs. He'll probably be a hero version of like Tretch. There'll be a lot of leadership. If he has a lot of abilities and items, they'll be revolving around leadership, I'm sure. For the Wood Elves, I want to point out something that nobody's probably seen, or nobody caught. I don't think. I haven't seen it been caught, and I'm not going to point this guy out, but he's a YouTuber, and he has access to the DLC already, and he didn't go over the unit itself, but I did see it in the roster cards, so I'm thinking that this is going to be an addition as well. It was a bow / spear hero character, female, with a green face mask on one side, and it wasn't the sister's portrait because the sister's portrait was also there. So I think they're going to get a melee hero for the Wood Elves. They're also getting a Lariel. She's going to be a hero, so she's going to have a lot of magic. In addition to this, they're getting generic spellcaster lords, so it's going to give them even more magic. They already have something that's fairly unique to them and the Dark Elves, which is a unit that has bound spells. That's the Sisters of Thorn. The Zotes are going to have this. They're going to have life spells, and there's also going to be an ROR version of the Zotes. So that means they're going to have 3 different cavalry units that are all capable of casting bound spells, in addition to an extremely unique hero that's casting spells, and pretty much the entire Wood Elf spell roster is available now to Lords. So it's going to make them arguably the strongest magic faction in the game. Now, as far as the Zotes go, they're probably going to double as heavy cavalry. They're probably not going to be as many as a cavalry unit at 60. I suspect that they'll either be somewhere around the Sisters numbers, or they'll be more like Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. They'll be like a 12 to say 24 entity model group. They're going to change the face of the Wood Elves. They're going to be huge for stopping. The one thing Wood Elves lack is something that can just go out there and stop the big boys, to let their arrows just get maximum value. You've got the strongest moving archery faction in the game. If it doesn't have 360, it has fire on approach. So it's just ridiculous the amount of firepower you can lay down. You can punish your enemies. And imagine the tactics that you're going to be able to execute with something that can stand. I mean, the Wild Riders are good, but we all know they get just crushed by counter charges, things like that. Like, their armor's not strong, their melee defense ain't strong. Anything outside of them just running through unbraced infantry, they're really not that great, especially for their price. So you're getting Knights, you're getting Zotes. That's going to really make heavy cav a new front for the Wood Elves, especially when you consider all the healing they have access to now, and then all the life spells they're fixing to get access to. And it's all mobile. It can all follow around, and it doesn't have to be a dedicated hero or lord that's following them around. You got Sisters of Thorn following around. You're going to imagine the combos you're going to pull off. You poison everything. You have heavy cavalry just plowing through stuff. You drop in these buffs, and if you get stuck, you just boom on the entire blob. If you get them to blob, you do this, and then you're doing so much damage, and you're taking so little damage. You couple that with, say, like Beast Lore spells that are, you're armoring you're armoring them up even farther, and then you're dumping all the life spells from the Zotes on them. It'll get up to a ridiculous degree, I think, and like Cav blobs will be a thing for Wood Elves now. And yeah, I think it's really going to change those matchups. And for the Skaven, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, they're not going to have cab blobs, but most of the ways you countered Skaven before, it's just not going to happen. You know, you can't. You're not going to use cavalry to outflank the guns anymore. You're going to get intercepted. You're not going to be able to counterfire the guns. You're going to get run down by dogs, and your expensive units are still going to get shot. Um, Somebody said power creep for Skaven, but I'm not ready to admit that as a Skaven player. But they definitely don't have uh, too many holes now. The leadership thing still is going to always be a major thing with Skaven, and if you change that dynamic, the low leadership of the Skaven, I would be bad as a Skaven player. I'd be upset because that's part of the Skaven way. This run away. You only fight when you can definitely win, and then you can run and just keep running away, steal what you can, and leave. So, yeah, I'd be upset if they changed that sort of mechanic for the Skaven. Now, Bastions of leadership and anchoring pieces, that's not going to break the game. Uh, Skaven are already super vulnerable to Lord Snipes. So making Lords more effective, giving them more Lords and Heroes that are effective, that's really not going to change the game. But I love what I see for both sides. One thing CA hasn't done, they really don't have a flagship unit for both sides. Like if you'll think back, like they've always really had like one giant smasher unit, you know, on either side to sell here recently, especially. And they didn't really go that route this time. There's a lot of free stuff still coming, so I don't want to make that call too early. But if there is free stuff coming, it's free. So they didn't, you know, they don't have two units that are just going to be nerfed into oblivion 6 months after the DLC in this one. I think a lot of them are going to be come out of the door pretty balanced, and it's just going to be a competitive catch-up game. People are going to have to adjust to the meta. Skaven, I don't think the Skaven is going to increase in popularity much. I think people that play Skaven. But the Wood Elves, I think you're going to see an explosion of Wood Elf players. People either just using Wood Elves or going Wood Elf main, because it's just going to be so good. Like anybody that likes the obnoxious healing spell stacking, just dude, this is the new faction. Forget the High Elves, forget that trash. The Wood Elves are the new spellcasting meme. So congratulations to all the Wood Elf players, and it's well deserved. You guys, if you're still main in Wood Elves, holy God, hats off to you, dude. Um, yeah, that is a very hard road to hoe. So you know, you got your Christmas early or late, depending on how you view it. But yeah, you guys are gonna love it. The Sisters of Twilight, I think, are gonna be really good. That dragon is probably gonna be a beast in melee. Super upgrade from this. He's gonna have double Luther Harkins on the back of him, just arrowing the crap out of everything that comes near him. We'll probably have some sort of built-in healing ability because of the good sister, and we'll probably have some sort of just bone crunching melee ability because of the mean sister. I look forward to seeing that. I can't say that I'll probably play a lot of the Wood Elves outside of the tournament, but yeah, Skaven just getting better every day. We still got at least one more DLC. Warhammer 3, baby. We're getting the big daddies, the big rats, and yeah, we'll really farm some tears when that day comes. But until then, guys, I know it's been long. Appreciate you watching if you have to this point. Catch you guys soon. All right, guys. Peace.